Instagram. Good morning, everybody on Facebook and on YouTube and Periscope. I'm also live on Instagram, so bear with me as I navigate between the two places. But today we are talking about why we should celebrate our wins. It's a really important topic for us. Good morning. I can see FM World Store on Instagram. Good morning, Mark and Robin. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, those of you who are on Facebook and YouTube. Oh, let me know if you can hear me okay on here as well. Let me know. Good morning, Emily can hear me, I think, on Facebook. Wonderful. Good morning, everybody. I can see AJ Pritchard supporter, James Allen, Sophie, Hannah. Good morning, everybody. So we're going to get right into it this morning because why not? First of all, let me know in the comment section how you are this morning. From a 1 to a 10, how are you feeling this morning? 1 being, I feel absolutely rubbish. I feel dreadful this morning. And I can see people on YouTube. Good morning on YouTube. Good morning, Joy. Good morning, everybody. 10 being, I feel incredible. And the reason that we do this, for those of you that have never sat in with me before, just the reason we do it is because it's a good check-in with ourselves. And it's also for us as a community, because I know you guys get to know each other a little bit. And so you check in with each other and you see if somebody's numbers have dropped and all of that. But most importantly, I can see AJ Pritchard support as a 6, Katie's a 5, Bethan's on. Good morning, Bethan. Bethan's a 6. Most importantly, you can see where you're at. So if you find that you are a 7, like FM World Store is on Instagram, and you've been a 7 for a few days and then you hit an 8, you know that it's been an excellent day. Hi, Angie. Angie's at a 9. Alex is at a 9. Hannah is at a 10, feeling amazing, wonderful things happening. That's so exciting. Can't wait to hear about it. And we've got Nemo Drinker is a definite 10 today. Incredible. And the sun is shining, as we can really see. And we can see on Facebook, good morning. Good morning. I can't see who you are, Facebook user on Facebook. It hasn't come up for me, but you're a 7. And asking how I am. Thank you very much for asking. I am a solid 8.5, probably a 9 very soon once I wake up this morning. So feeling good. And it's just really important for us. So if you're in the lower numbers, once you've checked in and you can see if you're down on those lower numbers, don't try and get to a 10. The job isn't to try and go from 1 to 10. That's a ludicrous jump, and not many of us will be able to do that in a short space of time. That's not saying we will never do it. It's saying in a short space of time. But what you could do is take yourself from a 2 to a 3, or even a 2 to a 4. Who knows? We can see Mr. Marmello is from Down Under. That was my Australian accent. It's not very good. Not very good. I was trying to do an Australian accent there, guys. It's not working out too well. But you're a 4.5 today. Welcome. So is 4.5 an average? Is that low for you? Is it high for you? Because that's important to know as well. I can see Alex Lynn just about to finish chemo, so definitely on a 9. Oh, I'm sending you so much love. Amazing that you're at that stage. That's so good. So good. And sending you loads of love in your recovery as well. So now we've done our good morning intro. Let's get on with the topic in hand. And the topic in hand, I keep getting this flowers hit me in the head here. Let's move it. The topic in hand today is celebrating our wins. Now that means every win, all of the wins, not just the big wins, okay, the small wins as well, the everyday wins. And it depends where you're at on that scale, right? Because for some of you, getting dressed this morning is a huge win, right? For some of you, that's not a huge win. You've got that down. I can say Mr. Marmello is actually Kiwi. Yeah. So my Australian accent just no. It could have been either. I mean, we really don't know what my accent was, so we'll leave it at that, and I'll learn what a Kiwi accent sounds like at some point. Good morning, Paul, and Facebook as well. So whatever your level of wins, it doesn't matter. That's not the point. The point is that you have a win. Now, why don't we celebrate our wins? Because we often don't, do we? We often don't celebrate our wins for many reasons. And I think one of the biggest reasons is that we don't celebrate is that it's not the big win, right? So we all have goals and dreams and desires and things we want to do in our lives. And so when we have these little wins on these seemingly little wins on the way, good morning, Stephen on Instagram. When we have these little wins, we instantly chastise ourselves for feeling good about that win, because we go, yeah, but it's not the end goal. It's not the big win. I'm not winning. I'm not winning till I'm winning, right? I'm not winning till I'm reaping the rewards of these big these big successes. I'm not there yet. So we almost hold back on the celebrations for the smaller things because we think, well, it's not the end goal, so why do that? The second reason I think is that we often don't celebrate these micro wins because we're already on to the next thing. We're already moved on. We have already moved on to the next thing because we're striving all of the time. And when we do this, we often miss the journey, the journey that we're on and these important everyday wins. We also do it, and this is possibly, certainly a British thing, but we've got people from all over flying in with us today. But I think it's that we are also taught that it isn't polite. It's not very modest to sing and shout about your wins, is it? We kind of think, oh, that's it's not okay to talk about your wins. It's a bit gauche. It's not very polite. Good morning, Angie. Angie says, you instantly lift me, Holly. I'm so glad. I'm glad that you're here. And Alex, can we just send so much love to Alex on Instagram, because Alex has one more session left of chemo and then they are cancer free. Oh, so good. That's so good. I'm sending so much love your way and hoping that this last session of chemo is breezy. Okay, as breezy as chemo can be. So these are the reasons why we often don't celebrate. And I don't know if any of you guys can concur in the comments and you agree. Do you celebrate your wins? Do you celebrate the small wins? Do you pat yourself on the back when you're doing well? Because we often don't, okay? What else? I've got a little list today, if you can see me looking over. Thanks for supporting Alex there as well. And so I've said all the reasons why we don't win. So why should we? Why is it important that we do celebrate our wins? Well, one of the most important reasons is that the big wins, the big goals that you have, they don't happen overnight, okay? And somebody on Facebook saying celebrate wins does not have to be public. It definitely does not have to be public. It really doesn't. It can be just you patting yourself on the back, celebrating your own win in your own way. It does not have to be public. In which case the egotistical one goes out the window. But I think there's still some internalized stuff with that we still, even to ourselves, think I really shouldn't celebrate that because, it's a bit much, isn't it? Like, you patting yourself on the back, big headed. We get taught a lot of these stories. So sometimes that can be the way as well. So the important thing is that your big goals that you want, I know we get sometimes told and fed this messaging online that things can happen overnight and you'll be a success in 6 months. But the reality of that is somewhat like not the case, right? It's largely not the case. Overnight successes are rarely overnight successes. They're just not. They've grafted. And so because the goal is like the big goal, the big life goal, whatever that looks like to you, the life where you've created a life that just feels easy and free and you're doing all of the things that you want to do, that life takes a little bit of time. So if we don't celebrate till we get to that, right? We just don't celebrate till we get to that, then we are living a whole life up until that point. And when times get tough, right? Because they will, because life will get tough. Just like Alex, you might go through some health stuff. You might go through loss. You might go through days when you just feel crap. You might go through mental health stuff. I don't know, right? Stuff's going to happen because we're human beings and this is what happens. As you go through that journey, if you don't pat yourself on the back along the way, if you don't, congratulate yourself for sometimes just washing your hair in the morning, if you don't do that, the motivation to keep going towards that bigger goal is going to wane. You're going to find that more challenging. You are definitely going to find that more challenging. So we have to acknowledge the milestones along the way. So we have that oomph and that energy to keep going. Good morning, Magic Master on YouTube as well. Welcome. I can see Sharon on Instagram and Rajutil as well on Instagram. Welcome. I hope I'm not missing anybody's comments there. Just double checking. So that's the first and most important thing. These things are not going to happen overnight. So you need to celebrate these wins along the way, these milestones. The next thing is that by celebrating these micro things, these moments, these tiny mini wins along the way, by celebrating and cheering yourself on, you create a habit for success. You create this reward system in your brain where your brain likes the fact that it gets a little reward, right? No different to when you give your dog a little treat to weeing outside. I know it's probably a bad example, but whatever. We know we like being rewarded. We like being clapped for things. We do like it. Magic Master is in Germany. Good morning. What do we say? I did German at school and I wasn't very good. Guten Morgen. That's German, isn't it? Guten Morgen. Guys, I'm trying over here. I'm trying. It's not good. I was terrible at German. I took it because I thought it sounded a bit like my own accent. I thought it sounded a bit Geordie. It doesn't. It's not the same at all. So that's why I didn't do very well. But Guten Morgen from England. So celebrating a win, as Hannah's just said, actually on Facebook, celebrating a win gives you a boost to carry on. It absolutely does. And it creates this addiction to the progress. If you can get yourself addicted to the journey and recognize that the journey is the win as well, all of these micro wins, all of these, the highs and lows that we experience as human beings, that's the win too. We simply cannot understand or feel or appreciate happiness if we haven't experienced the flip side of happiness. So we need all this nuanced life experience so that when we hit a big milestone, a big win, we can really feel it because we've understood what it's like not to win. Isn't that a weird thing? But we need to understand that's the nuance of life. So by celebrating the mini wins throughout the day, throughout the week, you create this reward system in your brain that says, well, if I work a little bit and I do this, I get a reward, I get a pat on the back, I get cheered on, right? So this is really important. What it also does is helps us to stay in the right now. So most of us are running ahead of ourselves all of the time. We're constantly ahead, or we're looking back, we're regretting, we're looking past, and we're thinking, what should I have done? And we sit in that space, right? We're very rarely in that in-between stage where we're present, where you and I are all on this call right now together and we're chatting, right? I'm chatting, you're listening, possibly showing at your screen, I don't know. Tanya says, I decided to stop smoking yesterday, so I had a movie night with popcorn. I'm rejoicing in the death throes of the nicotine monster, however uncomfortable. Oh, well done you. Big well done to Tanya. Send some love to Tanya, because that's huge, right? She made that huge decision, but you celebrated the fact that you'd made that decision. And that's really important that you do that along the way. It brings you into the present moment. When you celebrate this moment, and I have to say, I never used to do this. So I was a TV actress. For most of you may not know this now, but I was a TV actress for many years. I was very driven focused on the next audition, the next part that I was going to get. Hi, Francesca. Hello, lovely, on Instagram. Who else have we got on Instagram? Actually, Zabitsu, Bees 100s, and Sky Shadow on there as well. Welcome. So I used to be running ahead of myself all the time. And I think that is definitely the, youth as well, that you kind of find it hard to live in the now because you're always in the future and the excitement, and there's nothing wrong with that. And you get away with it for a time. But actually what I realized, and I remember the moment I recognized this, it's really weird. It was a nothing moment. I was stuck at the lights, and I still think about it, outside of Morrison's, and I was in the lights, and I live in Coventry, and I'm from Newcastle, and I think I had my 2 daughters by then, and I was acting and I was doing other things. And there was a moment, good morning, Jane, good morning, Dylan, where I just sat there and thought, oh, this is my life. It was like a realization of being so in the present moment that I wasn't in this future self life, which is, it's good to look that way. But I was looking at, I was no longer looking at this life in the future, this idealized life of me being, in the Hollywood Hills, picking up my Oscar, living in the lap of luxury, which had been my focus. I suddenly realized that, one, I loved my life, and this was my life, and it brought me so present in this moment. Viva la Cov. Absolutely. It brought me so present in this moment that I really appreciated what I had and my life. And so by celebrating these mini wins, by acknowledging your moment right now, however big or small you think they are, let the judgment go. It brings you into the present moment. And the more you can be in the present, the happier you can be, because you can acknowledge where you're at. And for most of you right now, whatever's going on in your world, even the tough stuff, there are moments when you're present where there's breathing space. There's a moment where you feel all right and nothing bad's happening. Maybe nothing good's happening yet, but there's a calm and a contentment. And when we're present and when we're mindful, we recognize them. When we're running amok, we're running ahead of ourselves. We don't notice these moments, and then we just bundle everything in as it's all bad. And it's usually not the case, guys. Even in the shittest moments, even in the hardest moments, it's not the case. There's a moment of breathing space. If you listen to my TED talk, I did a TED talk on and used an example, which I use now as well. But go and check that out because I talk about it in more detail. But I always imagine it like contractions when you're giving birth. There's a painful moment, and then there's like a moment where you can breathe. It's the same with life. There's a moment. I know we like to, when we're really feeling crap and rubbish and victimy, we kind of want to pretend that moment isn't there, because we want to just go, everything's crap. We want to just catastrophize. Everything's bad. Everything's hard. The world is awful. We want to do that. But actually, if we're more mindful and more present, we can go, okay, not all of it, because that cup of tea I had earlier was decent, and I had a nice shower earlier and it felt nice, and I felt relaxed, and I had a moment where my children weren't screaming at each other. And so we actually can be more present. So by celebrating the wins, we become more present. By celebrating our wins, now somebody mentioned this doesn't have to be public, and it certainly doesn't, but let's say you're just chatting to your friends about your wins. Let's say it's just your friends. It's not a social media thing. It might be for some of you. You might have businesses and things. But by you celebrating your wins, you inspire other people. I guarantee there's somebody on this call that just heard Tanya talk about stopping smoking, and somebody who wants to stop smoking, and somebody who thinks now, having heard Tanya's celebration of her stopping smoking, that they might do that they might take the leap, that maybe this is the moment for them. By talking about your wins, you inspire other people to do the same. Isn't that wonderful? Like you suddenly have this spiral of everybody's winning in their own ways. So don't underestimate. I know sometimes we think our little lives aren't that important to anybody else, but it's amazing how many people you can impact just by speaking your truth, just by talking about your own experiences. By us talking, the reason I talk about my stuff, even the painful bits, is because when we do that, it allows other people to not feel alone. Okay, it just allows other people not to feel alone. And we've got Tekla. Good morning. Thank you so much. Tekla's on YouTube and just give me a lovely compliment. Thank you, Tekla. And Sharon's just saying, my children's book and charity was acknowledged by Kensington Palace. Woohoo! Can we all just give Sharon a clap and go and follow her on Instagram? That is incredible. And we should celebrate that. That's massive. I mean, that's a big win. That's not one of the micro wins of just washing your hair. That's a big win. That's amazing. And we should celebrate that. And how inspiring is that to have that? It's wonderful, and it really can inspire others. And the last thing on my list, you'll see me looking over here. I'm just having a little look over at my list of things. The last thing on my list is that when we talk about the things that we want, good morning, Vixen Impex on Instagram. And when we talk about the things that we want, when we talk about our wins, when we celebrate, when we feel grateful for, when we appreciate, right? When we do this, what we do is we teach our brain that that's what we want to see more of. Our brains are focused. They have a negative bias. They are focused on the negative. It's just the way we are made. It's from back when we were cave men and women running around. We needed to protect ourselves. So our brain has been forced to think negatively. That helps us in many ways. But a lot of the time in our modern society, it just makes us jump to like negative conclusions unnecessarily, right? And so we can say Vixen is an exporter from Pakistan. Welcome. And when we do that, when we celebrate our wins, what we are doing is teaching our brain that we want to see more of that we believe that the world is a good place, full of wins, full of, even if they're tiny wins, even if it's just, as I used the example earlier, even if it's just a good cup of tea, you teach your brain the world is full of good cups of tea. And that's a good place to be. If you're British, you certainly agree with me on that. Tanya says, I welcome anyone who wants to message me about stopping. Happy to buddy up. If anyone wants to, Tanya Sparey, Sparey on Facebook. Anyone wants to buddy up and stop with the Stop Smoking gang, Tanya's your girl. Isom on Facebook says, we tend to avoid that because people could see that as we're showing off, or they may translate it as an arrogant behavior. How do you balance that? So Isom, I don't know if you were on at the beginning of this chat. But that was one of the reasons that we don't celebrate, that it become, you're right, people say, oh, you're showing off, okay? And it's such an ingrained thing, isn't it? I think you balance it with how you reveal your message. You can talk about what you do in a way that is celebrating it, without it being, I'm better than you. Because it's not about, when Sharon was sharing her win there, it wasn't about, and the way it was delivered was not, I'm better than you because I've had this success. It was, I'm so excited about this success. Join me in this excitement, right? There's a big difference, isn't there? And I think so. It just comes down to how the delivery, I guess, of it. When we can go, when we say, I'm so excited, I'm so happy, I'm so chuffed, I'm so humbled by my experience. I'm just happy about that. When we say it in that way, I don't think if anybody hears that as arrogance, then that really isn't about us. It's about them. Like, that's about their own insecurities. So I think we can only do it in a way that is, we can deliver our message in a way that is humble, not self-deprecating. Humble, difference. Self-deprecating is where we go, oh, I'm so stupid, but I won. Like, that's not a thing. Like, that doesn't help anybody, and it doesn't make anybody feel good, least alone you. So I think it's really important that we do talk about it, because I think largely, on balance, most people will just take inspiration and be happy for you. And if they're not, and they feel like angsty and angry and they think you're showing off, I think it's just more on them. And Sharon's just saying, exactly, the book is for my charity, helping to explain bereavement to children whilst protecting their mental health. I mean, there's nothing more lovely than that. So I think celebrating that is wonderful. Tekla says, good point, Holly. I really have to watch how I talk about things. Sometimes when I think I'm venting, I'm really dragging myself down further. But when I speak with optimism, I start to feel that optimism. Absolutely. It's very difficult for me to do. It doesn't come naturally. Do you know, the thing is, Tekla, it doesn't come naturally to any of us. We actually think that people are born positive or negative, and it's just such a small percentage in terms of our actual preset mindset. It's such a small percentage. It's a huge percentage that we are in control of. Not saying that's easy, because it's not easy even if we are in control of it, and we are predisposed to negativity. It's how we are made. It's how our brains are formed. So it makes sense that you would find it challenging, and that's why we have to work really hard. That's why when we talk about our wins, when we talk about our gratitudes and things we feel appreciation for. Good morning, Michelle. No worries at all. You're not there. Just come on in. It's a free for all. Jump in when you can. When we talk about this, we are training our brains that there are opportunities out there. There are good things in the world. We're teaching our brain by talking about this stuff more. And I talk about this a lot, but there is an actual part of our brain, you know, where called the reticular activating system, the RAS, and that part of our brain brings to our conscious mind the things that it thinks we want to see. And it bases that on what we talk about, what we believe about the world, what we believe about ourselves, where our focus is at. So if our focus is on the negative and our focus is on what we haven't done, right? Because there's a bigger goal, right? You might have these bigger goals. If we focus on what we haven't done, our brain sees lack, and our brain looks for more reasons. It's called confirmation bias. Looks for more reasons why, you know, we're not going to succeed, or we're not winners, we're losers. That it looks for more of that. So when we talk about, you know what, today I was really winning, and how I won was I got dressed, I washed my hair, I got out my joggers for the day, and I completed whatever, even if it's just some washing, right? Even if it's the basic stuff, I did that, and I'm winning today. It teaches an optimism. It teaches your brain. It teaches you to seek out more of the good in your world. So how can we implement some of this? I'm going to set you a challenge. Okay, your challenge is this: every day before you go to sleep, I want you to think of 3 ways that you won today. And on the days when it's been really hard, the toughest, crappiest days, when you've been really sitting in your negative brain, they're the days that you absolutely cannot skip it. The days when you've been super happy, and if you forget to do it, right, we let it slide, right, because you just had such a breezy day. But the days when it's hard, they're the days when you have to dig deeper, and you have to do it, because to get you to the next step, to get you to motivate yourself to something else, you have to teach your brain, you have to be reminded of how you are winning. And Shaman's just saying that I found the secret helped me train my brain to focus on gratitude. Yeah, it's a lovely starting point. It is. There's so many different books out there, and whatever resonates with you, gratitude just has to be part of it. It just has to. It works. Emily says, I think what you think about, the more you will attract. Absolutely. If you think positive, you will attract more positive things, but you have to be aware of any outside influences on your feelings. So if you are in a negative relationship, this will also affect you, of course. Yeah. And you're absolutely right. There's no two ways about it. It's how our brains function. And so what we think about, we bring about. I know that's a saying that comes from more law of attraction circles, but whether you think it's law of attraction, The Secret, the universe, God, it really doesn't matter, because all our brains are pretty much functioning fairly similar, right? They're functioning as in a ton of information comes in, your brain goes, that's too much to bring to your conscious brain. So I'm just going to pick out the bits that I think you want to, the things that you want to see more of. And that will be based on the things that you focus on. And so that's why it's super important when we talk about gratitude. That's why people like me talk about gratitude all the time, because that's the thing that's going to pull you through. Just reading some of the comments on Facebook. Joy says, some of my friends call me Hippie Joy since attending your workshop, Holly. I have changed my mindset and I'm so much happier for it. I often hug my mug of coffee and just sit and listen to birds. Oh, Joy, I love you. That's the best. And I don't care. Like I like to deliver my message in a very straight talking way. But if people call you Hippie Joy, I just love it. That's wonderful. You've got to be more present. You can do it in a badass way, but you can be present and you can hug your cup of coffee and you can take it in and enjoy it and relish in it. And it's brilliant. And you will be spreading joy by just being yourself. And I'm just seeing Flower Exercise 1212 on Instagram says, I love what you said. I'm enough. I say that to myself every time of every day. I love that. That's so amazing. You are enough. You are enough, even when you don't feel it. I'm just reading the comments. Ria says, I find it quite inspiring when someone openly and confidently vocalizes what they are good at and what they do, or they've had a winning moment. I think it shows high self-esteem. It really does, Ria. It really does. And I think it's inspiring. I feel super impressed when someone tells me they're good at something, whatever it is. Like, it doesn't matter that it's something I'm interested in, just whatever it is. I think it's wonderful. And Tanya says, I love to hear this. I try to be inspiring in my group. I have no doubt you are inspiring in your group. And Tekla says, I'm about to sleep, so I'm going to count one. I exercised. 2. So 1, you exercise. 2, I called my mom. And 3, I journaled the basics, all in sweats. Love it. Well done, Tekla. So Tekla's over in America. I think you're in America, aren't you? And that's her wins for the evening. That's a wonderful way to go to sleep. And we're sending you lots of love and positivity for tomorrow, Tekla. Have a wonderful, rested, calm night's sleep. So I'm going to have to jump off now, guys, because I have one of my excellent one-on-one clients. Just to let you know, on the 19th of April, I'm going to be opening the doors to my group coaching program, the You Got This Academy. You Got This was opened last year for students, and we do 6 weeks together where we talk about all of the stuff that we're talking about. But I take you from all the fear to getting clear. So we take you from wherever you're at right now. It doesn't matter if where you are on that self-development journey, but we go in there with a kind of goal of some kind, even if it's just, I want to feel a bit happier. And then for 6 weeks, we work together. So once a week, we do a live session together privately on Zoom as a group. And 2, then we have each week, we will have something that we work on together. We have a Facebook group. Even if you're not on Facebook, get a Facebook account just to be part of the group. It doesn't have to be a public account. It can just be something that you have for the group so that you can connect with the community. Faye is there as well. And Faye was part of it. And Faye was one of my OG students. And she says, do it. It's a great course. And those that did the first round in You Got This, they keep in touch with each other, many of them. And they were just such an amazing bunch, so inspiring. So if you're at a stage now where you've maybe listened to a few of these chats with me or somebody else, and you've jumped on here today for the first time, and you think, you know, I really do want to take 2021 and just grab it by the scruff of its neck, and I need to work out how to feel good more than I don't, and I want to plan, and that's what we're going to be working on, then come and chat to me. I will be opening the doors for this very soon, essentially once I get my sales page out into the world. And I will also be doing my free Screw Anxiety Challenge. That's going to be coming up in about a week or so's time, which I'd love to see you guys in as well. And Hannah is also on, and Hannah was part of the amazing You Got This Academy. And Hannah says, I can't see for the sun. worth doing, guys. Really make me focus on me. I love that, and it's super important. So thank you, guys. Have a wonderful day wherever you are. Do tag your friends in this and share this with those that you think will benefit from this chat today. Celebrate your wins before you go to sleep tonight. Well done on just getting through to this point of 2021. It's not straightforward, right? And Tekla says, good night. Thanks for being such a positive influence in my YouTube life. I'm so glad that I can be, Tekla. Take care, guys, and I will speak to you all soon. I'm going to say goodbye on Facebook and YouTube and Periscope and all of those spaces. Goodbye. I'm just hitting things here, and I'll speak to you soon. Peace.